This is Let's Talk Business with your host, Marc Ebinger. Now, here's Mark.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Business Podcast. Coming up on the show today, we're going to talk about how a PEO or a professional employer organization works and some of the benefits and advantages for business owners. In studio with us today is Bradley Stroud, the president and CEO of StroudLink, a PEO brokerage firm. Bradley began his career in the PEO industry in 1997 and founded StroudLink in 2005 to support business owners across the country, regardless of their size or industry. By finding tailored solutions to fit their unique needs, Bradley, lots of experience there. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mark. It's great to be here. Thanks for the invite.
You bet. Good to have you here. I'm your host, Marc Ebinger, the CEO of Crocus Virtual Staffing, a company that recruits and staffs overseas administrative assistants for insurance agents and attorneys. So if you're curious about the most common tasks that virtual assistants are doing for businesses, head over to our website at crocus.com and grab a list of the top 20 tasks that VAs are doing for businesses like yours. Links in the podcast description.
And I'm Howie Nestel, the owner of Sharkmatic Advertising, an ad agency with one foot in the old school, radio, television, print, billboards, way before the internet was invented. And now we and my team do digital marketing. So I was late to the game to web design and search engine optimization because I was a marketing purist. But now 90% of our work is digital. We've completed 1,100 websites. We manage SEO for about 100 clients. And we do that with a team of in-house individuals who have become real experts at digital marketing. So if you can imagine that your marketing that you put money into gives you a return on investment, that's what we care about. So you want to find out more, go to sharkmatic.com and come and see us for a 1-hour free consultation.
Love it. And hi, everybody. I'm Alan Utley. I am a speaker, coach, and HR expert and owner of My Coach Next Door. My mission is to detoxify work so that talented individuals can thrive and organizations can unlock their full capacity to achieve extraordinary results. Follow me on social media where I make fun of the bosses we love to hate at My Coach Next Door.
Yeah, lots of great content you put out there, Alan. All right, a quick reminder to follow the Let's Talk Business podcast on all major podcast platforms and social media where you can catch video version of the show. You can get to everything easily from our website at satalkradio.com. Now, the Let's Talk Business podcast has another mega mixer coming up here in San Antonio on Thursday, March 27th from 5:30 to 8:30 p.m. And tickets are on sale for just $20. Now, this is a huge expo-style mixer. We're going to have about 20 vendor booths set up, which really facilitates networking and mixing. A lot of B2B stuff. So a lot of B2B connections, a lot of B2B business getting done at our events. It's the only reason I do them is because they work. Otherwise, I wouldn't be interested in it. And they're fun, too. Vendor tables are really a good place to chat it up with local businesses. There's going to be, like I said, about 20 of them there. There's going to be some great snacks and plenty of drinks. The drinks are going to be in margaritas, of course, but then we have to serve it in beer cans, which seems depressing to me because I like beer in bottles. I'm kind of a snob, but we have to do it in cans because of the restrictions there. And I complain about this, I think, on every show, but they don't want any glass out there at the venue. Great venue, Aggie Park, Event Center, I think is fantastic. So Texas Suits and Simply Bookkeeping are going to provide koozies. So we'll dress them up slightly.
Dress them up.
So it's like a mashup.
It won't make the beer taste better, but it'll keep them cold for a little bit longer.
Beer taste better.
You said that the Mega Mixer works, and it works for the attendees. For $20, you get food and booze. Mm-hmm. And then on top of that, you have co-hosts of the podcast introducing you to other people in business that you might be able to connect with. And every single time we have one of these Mega Mixers, people leave there saying, I met people that I'm going to do business with. So it works for them. It also works for the nonprofits that we support. So the proceeds from the event, from the $20, which we all agree is a nominal amount to attend an event like this, goes to support 3 organizations here in town. One is the Got You Covered Collection Drive, which is a collection drive that serves the homeless and least fortunate in our community. Those revenues go towards supplies for Haven for Hope, Battered Women and Children's Shelter, and the Food Bank. We also help Discovery Camps, which is a camp for kids battling cancer. And then the last one is CRIT, the Children's Rehabilitation Institute, correct?
That's correct.
Am I missing anything? So
yeah,
they serve kids with disabilities.
And we've already given thousands of dollars to each of these charities, and we're just continuing to give back. So all really, really great charities to be a part of. So,
And I can concur that the mixer works. I attended my first one, the last one that you did, and I made some really great contacts that ultimately led to my next speaking engagement coming up this week. So I highly recommend it, and I'll be at your next mixer.
the attitude of the folks there is very conducive to B2B networking and doing business together, collaborations, and outright sales as well. So, all right, so we're expecting to sell out again. I don't recommend waiting. Go get your tickets. They're $20, 25 at the door if there's any left, but we're going to cap out at 300 folks for this particular event. Now, a quick shout out to Dr. Demi Moreno and her team at Max Living Chiropractic Castle Hills for being a gold sponsor for the upcoming Let's Talk Business Mega Mixer on March 27th. Based in San Antonio, Max Living Chiropractic Castle Hills specializes in spinal correction and holistic health, focusing on the 5 essentials: chiropractic care, nutrition, mindset, oxygen and exercise, and minimizing toxins. Dr. Demi Moreno is dedicated to uncovering the root causes of health concerns to facilitate true healing. So if you're seeking a holistic approach to health and wellness, be sure to check them out at maxliving.com or call them at 210-560-2710.
She was a guest on the show, and she's very smart, very well trained, and exciting, to have her now be a sponsor.
Yeah,
Mega
I'm a
Mixer.
huge believer in chiropractic care and holistic health. If you're not approaching your health with a holistic mindset, you're leaving stuff behind.
I am too. I've been there. I've have one that I meet with every month, and I've been doing that for years now. It's fantastic.
Yeah. What's your chiropractor of choice?
Brock Stratton, one of the best. He's just phenomenal. Yeah, Stratton Sports and Spine.
Yeah, chiropractors should be part of that. Do you have a chiropractor?
I do.
Who is it?
Yeah, Dr. Hayden Brown.
Oh yeah, I know.
Yeah,
Hayden.
Purpose Chiropractic. Yeah, it's like everybody should have a chiropractor and a therapist.
What kind of therapist? Though? Like for parenting therapist? Or what? Toxic boss
I was
therapist?
going to say, if you don't have a therapist, you at least need a coach.
There you go.
Right. Okay. And everybody needs a coach, and everybody needs a PEO broker, and everybody needs a
Virtual
a
assistant.
virtual assistant outsourcing company, and everybody needs an ad agency.
We do.
That's right. Help me with that marketing.
Right.
All right, so Bradley, you're an impressive individual. Everybody who knows you loves you, at least as far as I've talked to. I haven't talked to anybody who hates you yet.
I haven't even paid you yet.
Yeah, right?
Wow.
But you're a good person to know, and a nice guy, and a well-meaning person. Impressive background. So if you would just kind of go through 90 seconds of your background that leads up to how you got into the PEO business and what you're doing now.
I don't know. Y'all may throw me out of this. I kind of have a chapter 1 life and a chapter 2 life, and honestly, the chapter 1 life has absolutely nothing to do with the chapter 2 life. And chapter 1 life, I was. You guys are so much younger than me, you wouldn't even know anyway. But I was in the ministry. My degree is actually in biblical studies and evangelism, and because my dad was in the ministry, and so I just thought that was the direction I was going. And I don't know if y'all have ever heard of, I don't even know if I should even say this on the podcast, but I don't know.
Oh, we've said a lot. We've said a lot on this podcast.
Now you have to.
We're gonna heat this thing up a little bit right off the bat. But if you've ever heard of Jimmy Swaggart?
Oh, yes, of course.
And back in the 70s and 80s when he had the big television crusades and stuff, I was the director.
Okay.
I put those events together and directed them for about 2.5 years in the 80s until everything happened.
Right.
That those who were old enough to remember back then that big event, and had a friend here that has a church called Cornerstone Church. His name is John Hagee, and he called me and asked me if I'd come to San Antonio. So packed up and moved to San Antonio and did that for 7 years. But I always had a desire to get into the business world. And so back in 97, I had no clue what I was going to do. I just jumped out and decided to try this business thing, and had sent out a bunch of resumes and had 5 offers in a week, and one of them was called this thing called a PEO. I had no idea. Little did I know, it had just moved into Texas at that time in the mid-'90s, and so I thought it was the coolest thing. I didn't even know you could do something like this. So I jumped in and worked for 3 different PEOs over the years to try to figure out how this thing works, and then realized that each one of these PEOs have different niches, different specialties, different widths of service, breadths of service. and reaches of service. And so I thought, I ought to be a broker, like an insurance broker. I'll be a PEO broker. And I've been in it long enough to know who the great players are, and I know who the bad apples are to stay away from, and help businesses find the right fit for what they need. And, probably even today, the industry has been around for 50 years, but probably 90% of the businesses have still never heard of a PEO.
Right.
And because we have really sucked when it comes to marketing for our industry. Most people here maybe Insperity. Used to be Administaff, now it's Insperity. And because they market like crazy, they've got bowl games, they've got PGA golf. That's the only one most people even know about. And so other than that, nobody knows what a PEO even is.
So that means marketing works there, Howie.
It does work. Yeah. Done right, marketing works.
Done right is the key.
Well,
And
what was the trigger for you to actually start your own company? Because look, you can be and Howie says this a lot. So you can be an employee and make a nice living and do all the things, but you really want to struggle, then start your own company.
Right.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I have friends who are in healthcare for big corporations. They make a lot more money than I do being self-unemployed. One of them has Buc-ee's as a client, and he's their rep, and he provides all the health insurance for all their employees. He's like, with one client, I make more money than 96% of the people in the Texas office for this big insurance company.
Right.
So why do you do it, Howie? No one will hire you? So
No,
you have to
no,
start
no.
your own company?
Well, thank you for the question. One is, and those of you who are entrepreneurs and the ones listening will know that you have to be a little bit off your rocker to go start a business. Most people, and it's human nature to want to have some certainty and some assurances. But then there are people who take chances, who take risks, who prefer uncertainty. And so there's
Chaos.
something to be said when you go out and eat what you kill versus somebody serving you all the time. And so part of being an entrepreneur is a challenge to see if you could actually do it. Very easy to get paid to stay, especially if you work in government. The turnover rate, at least before this current administration, used to be very low. But you have some job assurance. But if you go start your own business, it makes no sense. I left Procter & Gamble. I worked for a Fortune 100 or Fortune 200 company with a company car to then take a huge pay cut to start a business and have to take out a loan to get started. But I was 24 and I knew everything. But then there's a tipping point sometimes. You get to the point of no return. By the way, I tested it. I had my own business. I sold it. And then I went to go work for a client as their global sales manager. Traveled around the world, loved it, made more money than I knew what to do with. And I gave them a 1-year notice. I was leaving. I wasn't fulfilled. I wasn't satisfied. I felt like I was just playing a role that somebody else could step into if I was gone.
Sorry, so that's Howie's example. But let's get into why did you do it?
You don't need me here.
Right.
No, well, and then I have a question for Bradley after your question because it's going to have to do with ministry and business.
Oh, boy. Probably shouldn't have opened
So why
that
jump
can of
into the
worms.
chaos of starting your own business?
We've probably all heard it. The most successful, wealthiest men in the world, none of them were employees. They're all entrepreneurs. And I wanted to be an entrepreneur, not because of money. I just wanted my freedom. I wanted my freedom, and I wanted to build something that was mine. And I was tired of building other people's dreams. And I wanted to build what was in my heart and what I wanted to do. And so I took the jump. And so I wouldn't have it any other way. I love it. And it's just gotten crazier, the opportunity. So it's gone from me just focusing on the PEO world, which is all I've had for like the past 25 years. Like this year now, I've got literally 4 different products in the PEO and my brokerage side. Plus now I've just started a second business with my youngest son in the plumbing industry of all things. Has nothing to do with anything else. But so I love this world. I love building my own, dreams and just I felt like it was what God called me to do, and so I'm just stepping out in faith
So
and doing it.
leveraging that, you talked about the chapter 1 in your life, and then chapter 2, and then you mentioned Swaggart and Hagee.
Yeah.
I would argue they're both excellent business people.
Yeah, for sure.
And so, is there a chapter 3 for you where you combine both your ministry background and then your business background?
And maybe
Wow.
farming.
You know, Howie, that is, nobody's ever asked me that question, but it's been one of my biggest dreams in the past 3 or 4 years because of where my business has gone and where I think it's going to go. That's one of my goals, is to be the guy behind the scene, but supports some really important ministerial programs on a global scale.
Talking
I want
legacy.
to think big when it comes to that part of it. Because, you know, this is all going to fade away, guys. I mean, let's just face it. We're going to do what we do for 20, 30 years, God willing, and then it's, you know, what do we have? What do we have to show for it? But my desire, personally, is I believe in the gospel, and I believe in that Jesus Christ changes lives, and I want to be a part of building that kingdom more than anything else. And so, thank you for that question, Howard. That's my ultimate goal.
Well, it's impact, right? It's legacy and impact.
Yeah.
You want to have impact, and I think as an entrepreneur myself, I want to have impact. I want to have my own thing. I jive with you big time on your
Right.
answer there, but I want to have legacy as well.
Yep.
I would like for this to, at least the world I'm creating for my daughter, to be aware.
Yeah.
Hey, this is another way to do things. It doesn't have to be 9 to 5. You know, getting a paycheck, getting fed. You can go out and hunt and kill if you want, but you don't have to if you don't want to. It's just like let her see the other side of it. But if she wants to step into it, then she's got a platform, kind of like you're doing with your son now.
Well, and my daughter works for me on the brokerage side, and then my youngest son works with me as partners in the plumbing side. I've got to figure out what to do with my oldest. My oldest son, both my boys were Army for years, and my oldest son, when he left, he's now head of security for the U.S. ambassador in Somalia, of all places.
Oh, wow.
And so he travels the world, and he's got his own thing, but I hope someday we can find a fit for him and get him out of that crazy environment. But no, I'm just crazy blessed with my kids, and we're all very close. So it's great, like you said, to have them part of the business and working together.
Legacy, you know, is really created while you're still alive. You know, most people, and the old definition of legacy is what do you leave of value for people who come after you. But creating legacy and getting your family involved. I have 3 kids right now. They're teenagers, so I'm trying to get as far away from them as possible. But I think at some point, I would want them to participate with me, and I'd like to participate with them in some kind of business endeavor.
Let's dial in on what is a PEO. Just kind of run through some
I got
basic
questions.
definitions.
Got questions? Okay. So this is where we turn the heat on. What is a PEO? And interesting part about it is most people don't know what it is, or they have a lot of misconceptions of what it is. PEO obviously stands for Professional Employer Organization. And basically the concept, the 50,000-foot overview is we're pulling businesses together and we're leveraging that pool. For me, I have about, as a broker, I have about 80 PEOs nationwide, about a dozen internationally. A small PEO that my firm represents probably has 20 to 30,000 worksite employees. And I've got PEOs now up to 1 million and 1.5 million worksite employees. And they leverage that large volume using the rule of large numbers to leverage to get huge discounts like for health insurance and workers' comp. That's kind of the 50,000-foot overview of that. But the question is, how in the world do they do that and do it legally? Okay? And so that's where the PEO comes into what we call now professional employer organization, which is a co-employer relationship. Used to, it was called employee leasing. And some companies still have that in their methodology and how they approach that relationship. But in traditional PEO relationship, it's a co-employer relationship. What that means is this. Since I'm giving you a long answer to a short question. In the co-employer relationship, if you're the client company and I'm the PEO, you're seen through all the state and federal regulations as the on-site employer. That term is really important because it means that you have sole custody of your employees. You do the hiring, firing, setting of wages, terminating, however you you run that business as you normally would, okay? You're seen as the on-site employer. The PEO is seen as the employer of record. So you have an on-site employer, an employer of record. Why that's so important is you have all the authority and control as the on-site employer, but your employees are moved off of your FEIN number and put on the FEIN number of the PEO. Now, what just happened there is that the liability that you once had with those employees are now my liability, okay? So when you have unemployment claims, no longer is that tacked against your state tax unemployment rate, it's tacked against mine, okay? If you're on my workers' comp policy and you have a workers' comp claim, it's tacked against my loss, not against yours. So now that the PEO has taken on your liabilities that you once had, it behooves us as a PEO to come in and give you all this support, because we want to make sure all your T's are crossed and all your I's are dotted, because if it affects you, it's going to affect me. If they come after you for a lawsuit, they're going to come after me for a lawsuit. So I want to protect you all I can. So we do that by having everything from HR support from top to bottom, employee handbooks to training to consultation to whatever you need as an HR service. The good PEO will be able to provide that for you. Because there are PEOs, they're mom and pop PEOs. They just, get by with what they can and give a very, very basic lean service. There are others that are very, very exhaustive and very, very in-depth in what they bring to the table. And so we're going to give you HR support. With workers' comp, we're going to give you safety and risk management support, because it's our policy. We want to make sure that that your guys are safe and sound. I'm using it right now for our plumbing company, where we use the risk management, have guys come out and check the jobs and make sure everything's in line and in order. And then we do benefits, because we want you to be able to attract and keep good talent, because we don't want you to have high turnover, because it's going to affect us again. So the cool thing about this relationship is we have a common goal. We both have skin in the game. And so I want to give you the best benefits available. And a PEO will have a master captive health plan. Then they'll have dental, vision, 401k retirement, all the things that helps you be competitive with the Fortune 500 companies a PEO can bring you. Even though you may be an employer of 25 or 30 or 50 or 100 employees, you can now compete for that top talent, because you've got a PEO that backs you with that services. Yeah.
That's a great breakdown.
So that's probably the best explanation of a PEO that I've heard. So thank you for that. You've clearly been doing it for 25 years. I have also, for 25 years, been working as an HR professional. Okay, so what I don't quite understand is why an employer or company would choose to go the PEO route, in essence outsourcing that aspect of a core function of the business, when they could hire me. But they could hire their own internal HR person that supports all those things. We don't write all the policies, the business does that, but we do workers' comp, we do benefits, we do payroll, there's a compliance piece, but there's also the cultural piece of it that we are the keepers of and help support. So answer that question. Why would a company do that versus hire me?
Yep. In fact, it doesn't have to be an if and or if or.
Okay.
I've been in it for 25 years. I'm not aware of a single time that when I brought on a client that they terminated or let go or didn't hire an HR person, okay? The reason being is in HR, as you well know, you know more about this than even I do. I'll be the first to admit that. When it comes to HR, there's basically two processes, two different types of HR, strategic and processing, okay? The problem is the HR people are trained for the strategic, the culture building, all those types of things. But when you get into the actual business of that and doing your work, you find out that 95% of your time is deal with the processing, okay? The PEO will come in and do the processing. And basically you become the quarterback, you tell them the play, what they need to get done for you, and you take care of the stuff you've always been trained and want to do to begin with, okay? That's one of the advantages of it. We can make you the superhero to your boss, because we're going to save you 30, 40, 50% on health insurance. We're going to save you 40 or 50% on workers' comp alone. Those things will more than offset the cost of the PEO and even probably some of the things you're doing as well. So that's one. And then, of course, the liability issue. If they just keep you on board, those employees are still on his FAN number. So if anything happens, it's on him. Whereas we're shifting that off, but yet still giving you the stuff you need and want to accomplish. I'm doing this for an HR department in Arizona, and she couldn't believe. She goes, "You can do all this stuff for me, and I don't have to worry about it anymore." And I said, "Yeah, we're here to be your best friend. We're not here to compete and take business from you. I have no desire to do that." And so that's important.
Okay, that's great because we all need best friends at work.
Yeah,
So that's
yeah.
good. Okay, so in this scenario, I work for Howie's organization.
Yeah.
I'm the HR leader. Okay, I'm going to promote. I'm going to be your HR VP. Okay, I've just promoted myself.
He's already promoted himself to
Okay.
VP.
You know what?
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
going to be
no,
the chief HR
That's
officer.
right. And you can
in
get
your
the
business.
corner office if you want by the window.
Fantastic. I want the top floor in the corner, big glass window.
Right,
Okay.
right.
So in this scenario, and now you're my new best friend, right? We're partnering. I've hired you. How do I ensure? So the cultural piece is important, right? The strategic aspect of our role. How do I ensure that the service level that you're offering our employees matches our mission and our values and our competencies, the experience that we want our employees to have being a part of our company? Because I'm in essence letting go of that piece of it. And you have other clients to serve. So how do we ensure that alignment?
That's where I, as a broker, come in because I know who the really, really good players are, and I know the ones to stay away from. And
Okay.
so I help the clients find the right one. That's always what my first meeting is. When I have several marketing companies that set up my appointments and set up the meetings with me, and so I usually never even know who I'm even talking with until the day of, and I see here's my appointments for the day. And the first meeting is always a discovery meeting. Number one, why are you talking with and interested in PEO? Why are you willing to even talk to me? What is your pain issues? Because you can't help them save money on health insurance. I don't care how clever you are, and I don't mean that in a bad way.
No, it's getting harder
just,
and harder.
You just
Yeah.
can't.
Right.
But I can. You can't help them with workers' comp. You may get them a good policy. You don't have the leverage to get the discounts that I can get. And by doing that, I can lower his labor costs significantly and still reach all the goals that you have and need at the same time as well.
How does StroudLink get paid? Do you get paid from the PEO that you bring the
Man,
employer
we're
to?
getting into it.
That was my next question.
Yeah, there is no charge from me for my services to the client, okay? The PEOs pay me, okay? And then the next question is, well, do you have a dog in the hunt? Do you have your favorites? I have favorites and that I think are the top, they're the best services, but I will always give my client options. I will never try to force feed them one PEO or another. In fact, I intentionally try to make all of my contracts with each of these PEOs, because I have PEOs reaching out to me all the time wanting me to represent them because I've been in it for so long. And so, but I'll always try to have basically the same contracts so I don't have an advantage one over the other. Now, I'll give some of them reach out to me and say, if you'll help us bring so many this year or so many this month, we'll send you to Tahiti or whatever. And I'll say, I'm not buying. Bottom line is, I'm here to take care of my clients. And I said, great if you want to send me, but it's not going to be because of that program. It's because you've got the best services you're going to bring to my client at that point in time. And so the PEOs pay me.
Correct.
You mentioned Insperity, though. Why don't I just go directly to Insperity and just hire them? Why do I need to go through you?
Man, I'm loving these questions. I wish people, most everybody would ask me these questions. Because most of the time, 99% of the time, business owners, even people like yourself, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but don't know how they price. Okay, for example, with Insperity. With Insperity, and I in full transparency here, I choose to compete against Insperity. They've approached me several times to represent them, and I said, nope, I'm competing, and there's a reason why. And it's the same as ADB Total Source. But for example, with Insperity, one of the biggest issues they have is they do what we call bundle rating, and so or bundle billing. So basically, when you get a bill from Insperity, you come on them with a client, and you get a bill, and it'll say, your bill today is 27%. You'll go, okay, 27% I'm not. Well, this is just our services. Well, what does that mean? Well, we can't really tell you. It's just our cost, so this is what's going to cost you. And I hate that, okay? And the problem is It's not transparent at all. The problem is, too, is that 27%, the next pay cycle will may be 32%. And the next pay cycle, it may be 22%. And so for a financial, like a CFO, it'll drive them crazy because they don't know.
Can't plan for that.
How you can't plan for it. You don't know what it represents. So I require all of my PEOs to do what we call unbundled rating or unbundled billing. And so you literally see line item by line item, the FICA, the FUTA, the SUTA, which is all your taxes, your workers' comp, your admin fee is all right there, very clear and transparent. And I like that because then the client's not wondering, what are these guys doing? I require everybody to be very transparent with everything we do.
And most businesses in all industries, they have different pricing for different clients. And so if you don't have somebody representing you, you have no idea if you're getting the best deal. Try canceling your cable bill or satellite radio or whatever, and then you're going to find out what the real price should have been
I get some
because
great
you
discounts
overpaid
after
for
I
a long
cancel.
time.
And
you
to
know?
your point, going back to what Alan,
yes,
Alan,
sir.
I'm sorry, I'm about to turn 65, so I'll use that as my excuse.
great.
We should probably have name tags for guys like
Yeah.
me. But basically, the other advantage I have is that I let everybody know when I bring them, because I have PEOs constantly sending me texts and emails saying, "Are you going to bring us some more clients?" And I'll let them know as soon as I have a prospect. I'll say, "No, you need to understand. I've got 3 other PEOs going to be quoting on this. Well, can you tell us what they're going to price it at?" Nope. You got to keep your pencil sharp, and you got to be aggressive with your pricing. If you're not going to get this deal. And so I know how to leverage that. I know where to look, because a lot of them will try to move the numbers around. And the bottom line, once you look at that bottom number, you can pretty well figure out what's going on. But that's because I've done it for so long. So it goes back to your answer of how to know why it's important to have somebody like me.
Now, will PEOs mark up some of those fees?
To cover, like, for my costs? No, because they're going to build me. Obviously, they have to. It's business. They got to build me in my cost.
Yeah.
But they'll still keep it lower than what they would if you went directly to them, because they know you don't know what the pricing is. They know I do.
Okay.
And they know I want to win that client, and they know they've got to be aggressive. So they're gonna market, but it's still going to be discounted with my markup in it. Okay?
Bradley, does that ever happen that you bring a client or somebody that you're pitching?
Yeah.
Because they're not a client of yours yet until they sign up with that PEO.
Correct.
And then you get 3 bids, and then that client says, "Oh, you know what? We decided to go another direction because we found somebody that could blank at a certain price."
It's been 25 years. I'm sure I've had somebody, over time, maybe they had a couple of them that they were doing on the side that I wasn't aware of or something like that. I'm sure that's possible.
Yeah.
It's going to be very hard for someone to beat the pricing I'll bring to the table. But could it happen? I guess it could. I would like to think I'm invincible, but no.
We've been in the industry long enough. You probably are pretty close to that. One of the things I wanted to bring up was 1099 employees are kind of outside the norm when it comes to W-2 employees and what maybe kind of benefits or whatever. How does your PEO brokerage? How do you approach 1099 employees?
We'll call them contractors, first of all. They're not employees.
Right.
Well, some call them
No,
employees.
they call
Some
them.
will
No, you can
employees.
call
Yeah.
them right.
Yeah.
When it comes to like health
Yeah.
insurance and stuff like that.
Yeah, this is really cool. So I'm really excited about this. I mentioned earlier that I've just brought on a few new products with my brokerage firm, and this is one of them. One of the biggest challenges that we've had for the 20 some odd yards, if not more, is we were constantly bringing solutions to the business for his W-2 employees, but they would always ask, and everybody's asked this, everybody's struggled with it all over the country, and there's no exceptions, of what can we do for the 1099? Can y'all offer anything for the 1099? And it was always, no, we can't.
Because they're on their own.
They're on their own.
Yeah.
Up until now.
Okay.
So this is what I'm excited about. I'm literally on the ground floor. I'm starting to sound like a salesman now, but I'm literally on the ground floor with a program for 1099, because the only options 1099s have, whether you're it doesn't matter what industry, if you're self-employed and you're on your own as a contractor, you either go out to the open market, which you're going to pay an arm and a leg for because you have no leverage.
We're talking
just you.
benefits.
Yep. Or you're going to go to the exchange, and it's even going to be more expensive. Unless you're making under $50,000, you'll get some discounts. If not, you are paying an arm and a leg, okay? We now have a program that is that allows 1099 workers to have access to group health insurance. It's all virtual. They can literally have group health insurance, which is on Blue Cross Blue Shield plan. We have multiple plans. We have an alternative plan, which is another program I'd like to talk to you about. We have an alternative plan, which is even cheaper. We have dental, vision. You can even get 401k. And you can actually run some payroll through it and get withholdings so that you can help you with taxes. Because a lot of people that are contract don't keep up with their taxes until the end of the year, and they're going, oh, no, what did I do? And so this is a cool program that allows them to have access to group health insurance and great rates. I'll give you an example of that. I'm 64, but I'm kind of a health nut. I like to eat real healthy and exercise all the time. Don't have any health issues. A few years ago, I went to Blue Cross just in the open market just to see what it would cost for me to have health insurance, and it was $650 a month. Wow. When we started this plan with the 1099 program, and it's not my plan. I'm just one of the first brokers on it, so I'm excited about it. I went on because it's all virtual. You don't have to do anything. Just click on my link, and it takes you right to it. You can figure out what plan you want. So I did that just to see what it'd be. And my plan for me was $320. It was literally half than what's in the open market. And so I thought, okay, now we're on to something. That's the cool thing that we've just launched 2.0 of this program. And so literally people can go on my website, which is StroudLink.com. There is a big blue button at the top center that says 1099. You click on it, and it'll literally take you to the plans, and you put a few pieces of information so they know how to quote you. There's no underwriting involved. The rates are already preset. That's another cool thing about it. And then you sign up and pick what you want, and it kicks off for you. If you have any questions, we have a 24-hour customer service that will talk to you on the phone or chat with you to answer any questions you have. And so we're really excited because there's literally, my last stats that I saw in the U.S. is there's 90 million 1099 workers in the U.S.
It's a big market.
And they're saying by the end of this year, we may be up to 50% of the workforce population are 1099s.
And you can target them individually, right? Hey,
That's
just
all
go
it is.
and sign up on the website.
So you don't have to be
That's
connected.
all it is.
So you don't have to be connected to one of the organizations that you've brokered for a PEO.
Absolutely
Okay,
not.
interesting.
No, it has nothing to do with the PEO.
Entrepreneurs, small business owners.
Everybody.
So as long as you get paid a 1099 stuff for whatever it is you do, you qualify.
Yep.
Oh, well, okay.
Absolutely.
Let
That
me dig into
clarifies
this
that.
a little further,
Yeah.
though.
So
I want to know how you get paid on that. So, like, I like looking at the numbers. We always talk about, this kind of stuff on the show. So, if somebody's paying $325 to get the whatever the package deal is, what's your revenue? 10%, 5%, 2%? I mean, you're
For me
obviously
as a
making
broker?
for you.
Wow. Man, you're really getting into it. This is one of the things I love about it. I get $20.
That's it.
$20
You're capped at
per
$20.
head, per employee, per month.
Okay.
I built my business on the brokerage side as residual, and so we built this for residual as well. This is not a onesie-twosie kind of thing. This is a volume play. When I've got 90 million people out there, we're literally the only people in the game. So if I get half of 1%, I'll be giddy. But we have a feeling I've got some major marketing people in fact, they're just kicking it off in the past next 2 weeks.
Speaking of sales, so our event coming up, the Mixer, you guys should promote that at the Mixer. Because there's lots of entrepreneurs and business owners that are going to be 1099s there that don't even know that this thing exists.
Right.
Might be a good play for you guys there.
Yeah, really nobody knows it exists right now. We're just launching this. Well, 1.0 was launched last year, but we were trying to tweak it and get all the, the website and get all the different programs. And we got more stuff to go. We're basically creating it as a community so we can do training for business owners that are trying to start and entrepreneurs. And we've got all kinds of stuff that we're going to be adding to this as we go that it can be that one-stop solution for 1099.
Now, you said there's no underwriting. How simple is the sign-up process? How long is it going to take somebody to do it? Are they going to have to bring any medical records?
Nope.
Do they have to upload any documents?
Nope. They literally can click on that 1099 button on. I'm digging this again. StroudLink.com. There's a 1099 button. You go to it, put in your basic information, name, date of birth, and gender, and click next. I believe is how it works now. And then you'll see all the different plan designs, and then you pick which one. It'll even have the rate, the premium at the bottom of it. And so you click on it, and it takes you to the next step until you decide what all you want. I mean, some people want the whole, kitchen of everything that's in there, or you may just want health insurance, one or the other. Or you may just want to see what it's going to cost, and then you can just back out.
How do you
if you don't want
prove that you're a 1099 person, as opposed to just, I'm living at home with my mom, I don't have a job, but yet I wanted some insurance?
Well, it's a document.
Keep in mind, we don't care if you're 1099. Okay? Actually, when you go on this, you're going on this as a W-2. Okay? That's the beauty of all of this. So you're on a W-2 for as much as you're paying your premium. So you'll see that you're going to get maybe a zero net on your paycheck, or there's going to be people that'll say, I want to run $2,000 a month. I want to run $5,000 a month, so they can do withholdings to help me on my taxes. And so you'll see that on your pay stub. But that's the secret sauce, because people do it now. I mean, you got real estate agents that are 1099 that also work part-time as a waiter, okay? So you can do both. So if you're working for somebody and they don't offer health insurance, but you're willing to pay, because that's, as a 1099, you got to pay for it, then you can just click on it and sign yourself up.
So just so I'm clear, pretty much anybody can go and get insurance and in any kind of
Again,
PEO
it's
services.
individual insurance, so it's not group insurance. So, but yes, anybody can go. Absolutely.
Individual insurance, but is it at a discounted rate because of the service itself? I mean, it sounds like it was cheaper than if you just went out to the open market.
It's on a master policy. Let's say it. It's yeah.
So it's not a group plan, but it's on a master policy.
It's on a master policy.
Okay.
Yeah. In other words, for those who don't know that, is there's a lot of people getting on it. So we have a master policy for that.
Now, let's say back to a group policy. If a company wants to get a PEO, is it worth getting with a PEO only for the benefits or only for the health insurance and not get all the other stuff?
Howie, you're awesome. You've got all kinds of great questions today. The answer is, by law, in order for us to be compliant, the PEO must provide payroll. Okay? That's what gives us our shared commonality, because your employees are on RFEI number. Okay? So in order for us to be compliant, we have to do the payroll. But we can carve out workers' comp, we can carve out health benefits, we can carve out HR if you want. I don't know why you're paying for it. So yes, there is some cafeteria options, if you will. Great question.
There's still something I'm missing, but I bet you can fill it in for me. So let's take a two.
I feel like I'm being set up.
Let's find out.
Okay.
So let's take a $2 billion company, 20,000 employees. Yep. They have their own HR infrastructure. Yep. Why would that organization unwind that HR infrastructure to go to a PEO? Or is that too large of an organization for a PEO?
Yeah, there's a limit at some point. We've got them as much as 3,000 to 5,000, but that's rare. Okay. Our sweet spot is, I've got onesie twosies employees counts, and those are very rare. But I'll have someone, I've got someone that reached out to me that basically organizes operas. It's just a small little one or two group, and I'm happy to help them. So we have that, but on average, it's 25 to 500 in that range. I've got one right now. That's a company that is just blowing up, and they think they'll be 4,000 to 5,000 within a couple of years. Okay. But so it depends on what's the ROI on this. I've got one of my PEOs right now, which I think is really cool, I got 2 different companies that have a certain health plan, but with this health plan, because of the tax strategy involved with it, it's a PPO plan, it's a supplemental plan, so it just goes on top of what they currently have. But by using this plan, the tax strategy involved with it basically ends up the employer pays 0 and the employee pays 0. In fact, the tax strategy actually gives the employer an $80 tax savings on FICA per employee per month. Well, if the PEO normally costs about $80 to $100 per employee per month, they're basically getting that PEO for free. Does that make sense?
It does.
Plus, they got a benefit on top of it. They got a health benefit. So many times now what we've got is it doesn't matter how large your company is, because you're offsetting the cost just by this plan, and you're getting all the HR services plus the PEO and everything else, the payroll and everything else on top of it at 0 net cost. So it's really, this is, to me, is a game changer, and that's another new product that we're launching out to help companies that are wanting the service but concerned. On the flip side, like an Insperity or an A2B Total Source, instead of being at $80 to $100, which is kind of the sweet spot that PEOs are trying to get, they're anywhere from $300 to $500 per month per employee. It's just ridiculously expensive.
Yeah.
So, and they do the exact same things.
Wow.
So it's interesting.
I can't help but wonder, though. I mean, what you're describing sounds great, and it sounds like an absolute benefit to a company. But there's got to be problems. What are some of the common?
What's the catch?
Yeah, what's the catch, Riley? What are some of the common complaints that you hear from your clients?
You know, my retention rate is well over 92, 93, 94% year over year. The only time I ever lose a client, is it possible for a client just not to get along with the people inside the PEO? Yes, of course. And it's just a personality thing. And so I'll move them. They'll contact me. My daughter works for me on the brokerage side, on the PEO side, and she reaches out to each of our clients every month just to make sure everybody happy. Because I always tell them my title is 2-part. I'm Cupid and I'm Papa Bear. I'm Cupid. I do all the introductions, and let them date. And when they decide to marry, I become Papa Bear to make sure everybody stays happy. And so, yeah, most of the time when I lose someone, I'll lose a client or 2 a year. And usually it's mainly because they're getting bought out by a larger company, or they're closing the doors.
But it's not because they're dissatisfied with the service.
Like I said, there are a few from time to time that they just don't like the PEO they're with, and they think every PEO is like this, and they're saying we're out of here. But if they only knew, I've got something so much better. If there's an issue there, we can give them some options.
How has technology impacted your industry?
Dramatically.
AI, client relationship management, software, communication devices, those kinds of things.
Yeah, it's been dramatic. Software obviously is extremely important to us because we have to run their payroll. We have to track their employees, and we're talking about in every industry you can possibly imagine. The only industry I think we won't touch is offshore drilling and shrimping, which is the 2 most dangerous jobs in the world. Other than that, I can pretty well find a home for about anybody. And so we have to have a very robust software platform that each of those PEOs. And again, some of them are way advanced, way ahead of the times, and other ones are, they're mom and pops, and they're just they just want the basics, because there's a lot of like construction companies and stuff that are local, and they just want basic services. Right. And I have mom and pops that they just want to help them do basic services, and they're all good. But the vast majority of the companies I'm dealing with are companies that want to grow, that want to attract and keep good talent, and want to expand, and want to have better services, and want to get cost controls. And so my job, and part of it, is finding them a home that they will keep for years to come. I mean, I've got some that are literally, since I started the business, they're still on board. And so that's kind of cool to see.
You mentioned employing your daughter. So you have employees in your brokerage.
Mm-hmm.
Do you use a PEO?
I do.
Okay.
I'm glad you asked that. In fact, I use it for
Because if the
my
answer
plumbing
was
as
no,
well.
I would have wondered why.
Exactly.
Yeah, you mentioned
Exactly.
about the plumbing business,
Yeah.
but that was good that you asked him about the brokerage.
Yeah, so I have it for both of them, absolutely. I can't imagine. I've always said, I don't know why anyone would not want a PEO. It doesn't make sense to me.
Mostly because they don't understand it. And like
don't.
you
Yeah,
said,
that's gotta be it.
most business owners don't know.
Well, and on that note, if somebody's looking to maybe explore this idea of getting a PEO, what kind of questions should they look to be asking?
What kind of questions should they be asking? Are you tired of your costs for your health insurance? Are you frustrated with the cost of your health insurance? Are you concerned about liabilities that you have with your employees?
Yes.
Yeah. Are you concerned about if you have workers' comp? Texas is the only state in the union that doesn't require workers' comp. Are you frustrated? Are you concerned about going bare? Because literally, workers' comp is so cheap right now. And then with the PEO, it's even cheaper. I mean, it's pennies on the dollar. It's ridiculous not to have workers' comp. But we can help you with those kinds of things.
So how does a consultation look for a prospect that wants to consider finding the right PEO for them, and they come to you? What do? They call you? They go to your website?
They can go to my website. They can call me directly. My number is 210-887-2148. I have it with me all the time, and phone rings all the time. 210-887-2148, or StroudLink is StroudLink.com, StroudLink.com. Any way they want to reach me is and then Bradley at StroudLink. Forgot about that one. Email, Bradley at StroudLink.com as well.
What about fax? No.
Do they still have
they
those?
do.
I was surprised even
so-
medical.
Yeah.
Because I have my mom lives with us. She has Alzheimer's, and so she lives with us. And the medical facility says, we need you to fax us something. I go, fax?
Yeah.
Who faxes
Medical
nowadays?
and also the airlines. If there's a document that you need to fax in, they'll
No
take
kidding?
it. Yeah,
So, yeah.
the airlines.
Not necessarily on the cutting edge there.
You know, you did have a good point over there, a good question, Howie, in that going back to pricing and how to look for the PEOs and stuff. The problem is that I experience a lot of times is people have gone directly like to an Insperity or an A to B Total Source, which are it's like looking for a car and the first place you go is the Lamborghini shop, and you're thinking, well, all cars are going to be like this. I don't want a car. And the pricing is so ridiculous when they see them, they'll think, well, I can't afford a PEO. They're all like this. And they don't realize that literally the average PEO, only average in their pricing, is so much significant less than that. Right. And you will see that it's going to be 90% of the time, and I'll be concerned, 80% of the time, I'm going to save them money from what they're doing right now by doing it all in-house.
What about an ADP or Paychecks, these payroll companies that then come in and bundle other services with it, right? They started as a payroll company, and then they want to sell you other things.
Yep. And I'm glad you brought that up. You've got some great questions. No wonder he's here.
I've been
get
in
it.
business for 35 years.
Howie, no, that's a great question because a lot of people will confuse us at a PEO as a payroll company. Well, they're just a payroll company. We're a huge difference from a payroll company. In a payroll company, remember what I mentioned earlier about the co-employee relationship where those employees move off your FAN number and put on my FAN number as a PEO. None of that happens with a payroll company. You still have all the liabilities. All they're doing is providing a service. So when they do extra services, you're not getting on a master policy that's on their FAIN number. They're just shopping out in the open market just for you. You could do the exact same thing, okay? So there's a huge difference between that. I don't know did I answer your question with that?
That's exactly right.
Okay.
It is.
Awesome.
All right. Well, yeah, we're at the end of the show, and Bradley already
Was that it? That was pretty painless. All right.
Oh, wait a minute. We got more.
Right. So you already gave your contact information. I appreciate that. So just give your website one more time.
www.StroudLink.com. StroudLink.com.
All right. We appreciate that. Well, it was a great conversation. I think we dove into that pretty good. Alan, what did you think? I know you were kind of like, you had your questions. You feel like you're pretty satisfied?
To be honest, I feel like I am satisfied. I know a lot more about a PEO than I did, and I'm still threatened by it. So thank you very much.
Sounds like it's a good partnership, actually. I think you sold that pretty well, Brad.
Yeah.
All right, love that. All right, as we wrap up the show, quick reminder, check out our latest podcast and catch video versions of the show anytime by visiting our website at satalkradio.com. It's going to be it for this one. You guys have a great week, and we'll see you on the next one.